Hello, everyone. I am Lori Gardner, Solution Engineer at Apsona. With me, I have Aaliyah Walker. Aaliyah, do you want to introduce yourself? Your title is long and it's a tongue twister.
Sure. I'm Aaliyah Walker, Lead Generation and Communication Specialist. Very long name, but to summarize, I'm the marketing lead at Apsona. So I kind of set this up with Lori, and we're excited to show you the powerful capabilities of Apsona. So hi and welcome.
So, just for everyone's awareness, it looks like we've got about 13 people attending. What we typically like to do is make this a little more interactive. We want to hear from you what you want to see about Apsona. It's helpful for us to know what you know about Apsona, if you're familiar with it, where you are on your Salesforce journey, some things that just help us kind of gear the presentation toward your specific questions and needs. With the number of attendees today, that would take the entire time. So we can't really do that. But based on the responses that we asked when you registered for the demo, I think there was a lot of common responses. So the stuff that we're going to talk about, we're going to try to leave a little room at the end for questions, or if a thing that you wanted to see it wasn't covered, we can definitely dig into that. And oh, did I just see a hand raised? Does that mean there's a question? No, I guess it's gone.
You're good.
Okay. And yes, Aaliyah, thank you for keeping tabs on the chat and raised hands and all of that. And Aaliyah, did you have a poll?
Yes. And I am pasting it into the chat now to everyone. Okay, so it's basically, how well do you know Apsona? 0, if you've never seen it before. 1, I've used it before. Or 2, I currently use it. So just to get a sense of how well you know Apsona. Awesome. I see 2s, I see some 0s.
I haven't seen a single one. Oh, there's a 1. Okay, so you guys are literally all over the map on this one. For those of you who are currently using it, my expectation is that you probably are using some portion of it and are curious about the other capabilities in Apsona. Aaliyah and I were at a conference a couple of weeks ago, and the thing that we heard almost from 100% of the attendees was, "Oh my God, we love Apsona. We didn't know it could do X or Y or Z because we've just been using it for this one thing." So I'm hoping that after today, you have a better idea of all the functionality. But just to accommodate anyone who also hasn't seen it at all ever, we want to be thoughtful about that, and I'll try to make it useful for everyone. So let's see. To that end, what is Apsona? I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this slide. Basically, Apsona kind of covers 3 different areas within your Salesforce environment: managing your data, keeping it clean, managing duplicates, identifying problems, reporting and analytics. The standard Salesforce reporting tools, in my humble opinion, are lacking, and some of the limitations are easily overcome with the Apsona reporting tools. And then document generation. And I think this is what we are kind of most well known for, producing things like profile style output, or gift acknowledgement letters, or letters of any sort. Those are the things that we seem to show up a lot for. And I'll show you that too. So these were the things that I feel like almost all of you were experiencing the same challenges or the same needs in your Salesforce org. Firstly, just managing data or identifying duplicates and resolving those duplicates is very time-consuming and daunting of a task. But Apsona has a dedupe and match tool that is really easy to use. It allows you to identify the duplicates and resolve the duplicates in the same step. Another thing that we're hearing from all of you, and I'm going to do a demo and show you all of these things in more detail. The ability to import records. Apsona allows you to import records into any object, including custom objects, and it does some things during that import that I think some other import tools do not do, like data validation and duplicate checking. Also, this is one that I feel like is such a broad statement. Oh, data management. What does data management even mean anyway? There's a lot of definitions to it. I've asked the question before in an informal poll and got some very interesting answers. In Apsona, there's something called the tabular view that has so many bells and whistles that I'm not even going to get into it here and may not even have time to cover all of them in our demo, but it really allows you to, me in my former life as a Salesforce admin before I joined Apsona, found that I spent probably 90% of my day in this tabular view where I was identifying records, applying filters, navigating to related records, updating, fixing records, mass updating, creating related records. So there's like a million things you can do here. We talked about document management. That's one of the things that Apsona, like I said, is most known for. And the other thing that I think where Apsona really shines is in overcoming those reporting environment challenges that you have with the standard native Salesforce tools. If there's anything outside of kind of those things that you're interested in seeing or learning more about, feel free to post in the chat, or like I said, if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to raise a hand, post it in the chat, or whatever, send a carrier pigeon. Sorry. Anywho, so I want to start off with the thing that we're most well known for. Let me back up for those of you who've never seen Apsona. I am in a Salesforce org. This is an NPSP org. I'm accessing Apsona as a tab, like you do any other Salesforce feature or object. Once I'm in the Apsona environment, and by the way, when I say I'm in the Apsona environment, I'm not leaving Salesforce. My data doesn't move. There's no API or integration, or there's nothing that moves the data from Salesforce to Apsona. It's still staying in Salesforce. So once I'm in the Apsona environment, I see another set of tabs that are objects that you have access to, as well as some Apsona specific menus. The objects that you see in these tabs are all configurable. So your admin can choose which objects, the ones that are most useful for you are the ones that you would see across your tabs, and then all the other objects that you can access are found through the more link. As I mentioned, in tabular view, you can edit records, you can add records. The ability to do those things in Apsona is based on your ability to do those things outside of Apsona. So the permissions that you have through your user profile and permission sets in Salesforce are carried into Apsona. If you can or can't edit or create a record in Salesforce, you also can or can't in Apsona. However, Apsona does, through configurations, allow you to further tighten the reins if needed. And I can talk more about that a little bit later. What we're looking at right now, I have selected from reporting tools the multi-step report option. And I'll get into the specifics of reports a little bit after, but I do want to talk about document merge. So I'm going to run a report, and I've gone into Apsona, navigated to the multi-step report tool, to the folder the report was in, and I'm running the report. But there are also several other ways that someone can execute an Apsona report or a merge action. One of them being from a link on a page. And what I've just opened up here is you can see this little section down here there's kind of some links here, this gift acknowledgement report, my annual tax receipt, a prospect list. There's a button that links to a merge action. So that's another way that you could launch this report. Once I've run this report, so this is donors who've recently made a gift and they need to receive a gift acknowledgement. So I've run the report. I'm going to click this merge mail button. I'm just going to run an existing merge action just so you can see what it looks like. I've selected, and this is just how you would run it as well. Select the merge action to run. I'm creating the letters. I click the run button. It's done creating them. I click download results, click on the file, which of course has opened in a different tab. Let's move that over here. So this is now what those letters look like. So let me kind of back up and just talk a little bit more about the options when you create a merge action. For one, there's different types of merges that you can do. Document merge, that's what you just saw. The output can be either a Word document or a PDF. You can create an address label style output, which is really more like a directory style. So you could use it also for like name tags or things like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be an address label. You can create Excel spreadsheets. You can send an email through Apsona, an email with a document attached or an email with a spreadsheet attached.
Hey,
The next
Lori.
thing, oh, yep.
And we have a question from Rebecca. She says, will it update the acknowledgement sent date and status and save a copy to the opportunity?
Rebecca, it's as if you had a copy of my script because I was literally just about to show that. Let me see, did I select the right? And good thing you asked too, because I almost didn't have the right one selected. So I'm going to show you all of the steps kind of quickly, but I will totally address that question. So the merge action that I've just selected is an email with a document attachment. So the first thing that I have to do is select my template. And these are just Word documents. They recognize regular Word merge fields. There's no extra coding or anything fancy that you have to do for Apsona to understand. You just upload the document in Apsona and it recognizes that there are merge fields on it. I also have the ability of applying a different template for a different scenario. So if you have, like in this case, it's a gift acknowledgement, maybe if you have different language, if it's going to a different constituency, or if the gift was made to a certain type of designation or fund, you don't necessarily need to do that as a separate report and separate merge action. That can all be handled in one. I select my email template and to and from fields. I'm going to map the fields from my template to the fields in my report. And then on the last step, here's where I can also, in addition to sending the email and attaching the document, I'm creating a task on, I can do this on the opportunity object, on the account object, on whatever object makes sense for you, that the gift acknowledgement was sent. I also am attaching a copy of that file to the files related list. And I am updating the gift acknowledgement date, Rebecca, to today's date and time. So when I click save and run, the file is created, it's attached to an email that's sent to the donor, and a task record is created on the account or the opportunity record, indicating that the gift acknowledgement was sent. A copy of the letter is attached to the, again, either account or opportunity, and the gift record is updated to indicate that it has been acknowledged.
Thank you. I have another question from the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other ways to upload templates besides saving the merge template to documents in Salesforce Classic?
So currently documents Salesforce Classic, yes. However, you can manage them like within Apsona, so you don't have to navigate, you don't have to go to like Salesforce Classic to manage the documents. You actually access them through Apsona, and I can show you that too. And you also can use a Google Doc. And if I go back, here the option for either Salesforce documents or Google Doc, you would just enter the ID number for that Google Doc. So to answer that question, documents is really just another object. So what we would typically recommend, what we do, is the documents menu. I can find that file. So this is a little preview too of some of your filtering capabilities when you're looking for records of any type. So here's the file that I was just, the template that I was just using. I have the ability to download it right from here, make whatever changes are needed, save it, and then using this replace button, just overwrite that file in Salesforce documents. I can also upload a fresh document, a brand new one here as well. And I know there has been some internal conversation about making Salesforce files, the Lightning version, available as well. And it's just not, we're just not there yet, but it's probably coming. Running a document merge, as I mentioned, let me go over here, can also be executed not through Apsona, but through a button. So I'm looking at just a campaign record, and for that, you can see there are 3 buttons that are on this Salesforce record, and you can create buttons on either record pages or home pages. When I click on that button, it's telling me it's running a merge action. It does its thing. Once it's done, I see that same download results that I did when I ran it through Apsona. In this case, it is an Excel file that opens up. This one's kind of just a basic list. You can see that is the file that is created. I also, here's an example of a name tag style, just so you can see what that looks like, because those are fun. And then we also, this is another really common use case that we see a lot, is either like a mini kind of profile for something like event attendees. It could really be for just about anything. And then a full profile that you can run as a one-off too. So this is kind of a thing of that. Do I have a no, let's go here. And, oh, that's not what I want. Just another example of a document merge, a full donor profile. So something just a little more in depth. We're good? No questions so far?
Yep, no other questions.
Awesome. So let's say when you were running that gift acknowledgement report, you happen to notice, and happen to notice could be either you happen to notice, someone on your data team noticed, or just through a mechanism that you have set up to catch errors. I noticed that the USA field for this record, or the country field, doesn't conform to our data standards. And I might be thinking, well, is this a one-off anomaly, or is there a bigger issue here? So with that, using Apsona, I create a very simple report that just shows me all the country fields that begin with U, and it's counting the number of records, so I can see, oh, there's actually a much bigger problem here. I have several country fields that don't meet our data standards. So I can also, using tabular view, I'm on the contact tabular view, I've applied a filter that specifically looks for those incorrect values. I can now, using the tools menu, update all of these, select that country field. Oh, typing, why is that not happening? And then update it to the appropriate value. When I click update, all 17 of those records are resolved. What I could also do on this report that I created, using our scheduler, I can set this up to be emailed to myself or to someone on my data team every day, every week, every month, whatever frequency is needed, daily, weekly, monthly. Obviously, if you choose weekly, it asks you to choose which day of the week, and monthly would ask you to choose which day of the month. I would then fill in the type of file, the delivery format, and who I want it to go to. And the cool thing about our scheduler feature, as opposed to the Salesforce subscription feature on reports, is that in order to receive a subscription, you actually have to be a Salesforce user. But in Apsona, I can type in any email addresses here I want. I can an unlimited number of recipients. So it's really useful if you need to share information with someone who is either outside of your department or office, or not a Salesforce user, or even external like boards or volunteers. Okay, let's do some importing. Let's see. I'm going to go to, do I already have this open? No. So from any object, I have the same tools menu. I'm going to go to the import update. I'm on the opportunity object. Let's say I had a file that had several gifts that need to be imported. Maybe they came from a third-party payer or some external source, an online giving. It could be lots of different things. So back over here in Apsona, oops, not there also. Where was I? I've selected the import update tool. I have the option of importing brand new records or updating existing records, though even when I import, if it finds a matching record that exists already, if I choose to have it check for duplicates, I do have the option of updating an existing record. So in this case, we're importing new. I'm going to leave it set to reject duplicates, and it's going to match. I'm going to choose to match it on the name, but if that's not the field that I wanted, I can choose any combination of fields or fields, fields in this object. I can either copy and paste the data, which I did just because it was a small set, but I also have the option of uploading a file. That is tab delimited, some other formatting options. I then map the necessary fields. Oops, contract. Spelling counts from my data source to the fields in opportunity. And then I click next, and it's given me an error message. It's telling me that I have an invalid value. So if I click on that message, it actually highlights the record that's problematic. I can actually correct it. I can fix it right here on the fly. I don't need to go back to my CSV. I don't need to go back to my source, correct it, and re-import the records. I can fix it immediately. I also have the ability, if it was a global issue where every single record had a wrong pick list value or something, I can do a find and replace as well. I then click next, no more errors, import, and it does its thing.
One quick question. If you just match on name, what happens when there are 5 other John Smiths in the database?
Oh, I should clarify that I was matching on the opportunity name, which in our system is a combination of the donor's last name, the date of the gift, and the amount of the gift. I think we made it something like that. So it's a little more complex than that, but you're not wrong. And that would be where our dedupe and match tool really comes in handy. And realistically, if you were going to match for something like this, if you didn't already have contact IDs in your file and you wanted to match on names of either accounts or contacts, you would make it a little more, you would use more fields than just the name. Once my import completes, I can download the list of the records that I just created. If any had failed, they would be included included in that export. I also can just click this go to list button, and now I'm taken to a list of the records that I just created. So if there was anything I needed to do, like send them an acknowledgement, I can actually select all the records, and then I can launch a merge action from here as well. So there's everything all connects together. Let's see. Let me go back to reporting, because that is definitely one of the big reasons to have a tool like Apsona. So if you are not familiar with Salesforce and the Salesforce reporting tools, there are several limitations, the biggest being your inability to link any object together. So for those of you who are new to Apsona, I don't know if that means you are also new to Salesforce. And if not, then you probably do understand the complexity of object relationships and just how difficult it can be to get all the information you need in one report. With Apsona's multi-step report tool, you can use any object and join it with any other object. So I've opened up a report that we call the standard contact info template, or what a lot of people would call like a kitchen sink report. This one doesn't quite have all the stuff that you would normally have in a kitchen sink, but it's your starting point, where if there's a list request or a report request, this might be your starting point every time. And then instead of, oops, I clicked the wrong thing. And then instead of starting a brand new report every time, I would just clone this report to create a new one and adjust the filters or fields as needed. So I'm starting off with the contact object. When you create a multi-step report, there are steps are usually approximately different objects, but there are actually 3 different types of steps that you can create. One is database object. That's what we're looking at, the contact object. You can also create a step that uses calculations, and calculations, another bit of a misnomer in that calculations can be, like mathematical operations, but they can also be if then else conditional statements. They can be JavaScript methods can be applied. You can actually create JavaScript functions. Thank you, Aaliyah. So the calculated fields are actually pretty powerful, and you can use fields in those calculations from any of the steps above it. You can also create a combination step. If any of you are familiar with SQL, it's like doing a union, but basically what it means is very often you have like 2 kind of different populations that really can't be joined together in one step. You can create that as 2 steps and then join them together with a combo step. So in this case, again, question?
Yes, question. It says, oh wait, our system is using unique contact ID and contact ID. Those are not identical. Are you familiar with this?
Huh? I guess I would say no. Do you mean like the 15 digit versus the 12 digit? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So there's the it used to be called the case safe ID. So there was a problem years ago in Salesforce that the 12-digit ID wasn't unique enough if it was exported in Excel, because uppercase and lowercase letters are considered a match. 15 and 18. Thank you. Yes, it is, Jude. Jude, you're like totally winning here. You want to do this demo? Because like you knew about the webinar thing that I couldn't see anybody, and there was something else you had commented on. Thanks for having my back, Jude. So yes, 15 and 18 digits, thank you. So anyway, so they added these 3 extra digits and called it the case safe ID. But I think now just the contact ID is the 18 digit. Is that true? Jude probably knows. Either way, it doesn't matter because you can join steps on either one. Apsona allows you to, no, you have to create the 18. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So when you're creating a Salesforce custom report type, you don't have any control over how those objects, you select two objects that you want in your report, and you don't get to see what the relationship between those objects is. In Apsona, you're building that relationship, and it allows you to match fields based on data type. So you're not limited by just lookup or ID fields. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So I've selected the contact object in my first step. All the steps are going to have these same 5 tabs. First being, or I guess that's second, is where you select the fields that you want to see in your output. These are the retrieved fields. Next is your filtered step. And of course, these are actually just so you can kind of see what our different filter options are, depending on the type of field that you select. Let's see, you're going to have different options for the operators. Just wanted to point that out. So my second step, I'm using the relationship object. It's labeled spouse. So as you can probably guess, I am filtering just for spousal type relationships. On my linkage tab, I'm connecting this step to the contact step by the contact ID. Now, if I had, let me remove that just so you can see it's actually letting me join on any fields that are the same data type. So you want to be thoughtful about that, in that, obviously we're not going to match on class year. That makes no sense for this. Or some of these other fields. Typically, you're going to be matching on an ID field, a linkage field, a lookup field. And Apsona kind of gives you some clues how to know what those fields are. Notice there's a little link icon next to the contact field. That's telling you that this is the lookup field. This is the link to the contact object from relationship. And any other links have that same icon. And then the one that is the unique identifier, your contact ID, your record ID for any object, is indicated by the little yellow key. So another limitation of Salesforce reports is that you can't create multiple paths from one starting object. You have to join those objects in a linear fashion. But I've added another step to pull in account information, also linked to the contact step. So I've already created 2 different paths. I'm going from the contact to the spouse and contact to account. And then from there, I'm pulling in some giving information, which I could link either to the account or the contact. And notice I've labeled this most recent gift. I'm using the opportunity object. It's filtered not at all, but I'm limiting my results to only the most recent one based on the date that it was made.
Lori?
Yeah.
Quick question. Brittany says, can I use Apsona to bulk delete custom object records? I want to remove all records from a custom object, and data loader is difficult.
Yes, you absolutely can, using tabular view, and hold that thought. We should have time to get to that, because it's definitely tabular view, as I was saying before, has lots of awesome features. So range and sort, again, allows you to select only like the highest, the lowest, the first, the last, something like that. I could also choose a number if I wanted like the top 10 or the top 5 or something like that. I can do that here as well. I can also reuse the same object. So down here at step 8, I've got this relationship object that I've already used here in step 2, but in step 8, I'm filtering for child type relationships instead of spousal relationships. These are all linked back to the contact. So you can see, like, I can pull in any kind of information. It can either be linked to the contact, to the account, they can be linked to each other. The most recent gift allocation is actually linked to the most recent gift. So there's not, we're getting around that inability to connect information that is nested. You've got an account record that's connected to contacts. Contacts are connected to other contacts. accounts are connected to opportunities. Opportunities are connected to allocations. Like all of those things, you can pull together in one report with Apsona. And I guess I can run it just so you can kind of see what it looks like. So you can see here, this is my contact step. As I scroll over, now you see there's my spouse, the account information that I brought in, that most recent stuff. I guess nobody has any kids or wealth ratings, and then some of the calculated fields that I had created. So to answer your question, Brittany, I've selected the contact object. I'm looking at all 408,000. I can also apply a filter if I wanted to. If I want to select specific records that I need to do something with, I can do that, or I can select all of them. I'm viewing these at 100 rows per page. I can change that up to 1,000. When I do, I have the ability now to just delete those records. I can leave it if I have selected records, so it's giving me the option to delete checked. If I unselect, it will give me the option of deleting all. So if you have a custom object that you want to delete all the records, here's your very easy way to do that. I would be very careful and thoughtful about who you allow to delete all records. And that is controllable through configurations, by the way. You also have the ability, like I was showing before, to update all the records as well, not just selected records. Any other questions so far? I want to really quickly, I know we only have like 5 minutes. I'm just going to talk about our dedupe tool. So I was mentioning before that one of the things that I dislike about Salesforce's standard deduplication tools, maybe that wasn't today that I mentioned that, I don't know, I'm not sure if I did or not, is that you have to create like a matching rule, and then you have to create a duplication job, and then you apply the rules to the jobs and run the job, I don't know. But then there's no real way to actually like see your results. You don't get to see like a list of here's all the duplicates that it found. I think you can create a report that shows that, but it's a little clunky. And then you can't resolve those duplicates. So with Apsona's dedupe tool, you actually define the matching algorithm. There's additional fields you can show. There's lots of configuration options to the deduplication. And once I've got that all ironed out, and I click save and find or find, based on the filtering and the other rules that I've set up, it brings up a list of all of the records that it has found. And you can see it kind of groups them, like here's the 3 that are potential duplicates. The one that it thinks is the master, based on the rules that I've defined here, is the one that you can see it's kind of bold and it's got this little check mark next to it. If for some reason I think, after reviewing all the information, I think, oh no, you know what? This is actually the master record. I can just click on it and change it. If I wanted to review any of these a little more closely, I can select the group and click on this little arrow, and now I can see every single field, not just the ones I selected to display. If I wanted, I can view only the ones that don't match. And then I can actually pick and choose which fields I want to keep and then merge. And that way it kind of is like a custom merge, rather than just pulling everything into, from the deleted records into the, what do we call that? The master record. Any other questions? Anything else that in the 4 minutes we have left that I can answer? All right, I'm going back to this. And I don't know, just for visual sake, this is Apsona comes now. If you were familiar with our pricing structure in the past, all of the different tools and products that Apsona offers were kind of bought a la carte, but we've decided that that was confusing. It was even confusing for us who work at Apsona. So, and it was also, you know, because like I said earlier, we keep hearing that people are telling us, our users are telling us they love what they're using of Apsona, but they didn't know it could do all these other things. So we decided, why not just give everybody everything? So with few exceptions, now all of the products are included. Our bundles are based approximately on the number of users that you have. There's some minor differences in functionality options. And then also, if you're not familiar with us, we offer support in the form of office hours 3 times a week. You are able to drop into a Zoom session with our support team and get help with your question live. We also have a huge library of YouTube videos. We have a ton of support documentation, and we have this demo, which is not necessarily for support or education, but more of a scratch the surface kind of experience. Any other questions?
I don't see any.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate the questions and appreciate your attendance. Aaliyah will be following up via email, and if there's anything else, any other questions that come up, feel free to reach out to us.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.